Esta conferencia comenzará a grabarse.
That's a very complicated question. For sure, it's better, but but we need to plan and to see what is possible that can happen in the future, the near future, and be prepared. Fortunately, we are improved everywhere. I think everywhere, at least in Europe, as far as I know.
Good morning.
Good morning, Piedros. Are you there?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Really happy to see you here. How are you?
Fine. Very busy time. And you are too fast. You are very fast, and I can go and can move as fast as you.
I don't.
This reason why I'm not often in our meetings.
But today is your day.
Yeah,
no?
Of course.
Today we will speak about agro. So you will start. I'm very happy to see you here because I needed somebody that are from the sector starting. So
yeah,
you will be the one.
I hope I invited my colleague from Agro Food Digital Innovation Hub from Lithuania, and we will be 2 organizations here from agri-food sector.
Perfect. Who is he or she?
She, Christina.
Mm-hmm.
Here will say this Lithuanian name. Christina Agri-Food.
Good morning, Nula. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, so it's time. We will start as usual. Okay, welcome everybody. Today we will speak about the agri-food ecosystem. Okay, as defined in the information that we have now, agri-food has 3 lines commenting. Okay, plant and animal production, processing of food, and veterinary activities. So the proposal is to speak about what is happening in the agri-food ecosystem, focusing in the detection of disruptions. That's the key point now. What kind of disruptions are you suffering, or do you see coming? But that's very important. Okay, we need to look for the near future or the medium term future. Okay, so that's the proposal for today. If possible, also we could speak about solutions. But first, the suggestion is to focus on disruptions and main needs on that area. Okay. So today I hope to have here different specialists on this field. Okay. And I want to invite those specialists to share your experience, okay, and perhaps taking advantage of the presence of Giedrius here from Lithuania. I will say, Giedrius, would you share? Would you comment?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. Maybe one of my first priorities now is export, and we have some problems with export markets and in Europe, and one of the main issue is how to help our companies and with foreign markets, and we have export markets. All exhibitions are closed, and we will start. We will be open just in October, December. All flights are closed, and especially if, for small countries, it's the main challenge now to help for producers and to open and to help with this issue. And of course, next question is local markets. We are full and full of products. There is very big competition, and of course, when it's too much products and prices are not less, of course, because all retailers in each country, retailers has main part of the market, and it is a problem. But we have we manage level of prices, but we push producers to make more discounts for them. Yeah, it's I can talk more about food sector, and it is now main problems.
I didn't understand.
Yeah,
I didn't understood.
Okay.
Jesus, I didn't understood. You say that there are too much products?
Yeah, it's
because you are not exporting. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's problem because our producers are too big for local markets, and you can imagine situation. We sell abroad 50% of products. Half of products goes abroad. Now we can sell. We sell abroad half of amount of export from previous period, and of course all production now is in our local markets, and we have high level of competition. It was the same as was Russian crisis. When Russian closed market, all producers started to compete in European market and to fight with prices. But a final consumer don't have a benefit from that, because main retailers manage this process, and all benefits is for them.
I understand. Yeah. Thank you very much. And the problem with the exportation is because the frontiers are closed for food?
Yeah. Sorry, what is closed?
The borders are closed?
Yeah, and of course all logistic way is more complicated, and all local buyers, local importers, we prefer to buy from local producers, or maybe from neighbors. If we want to for example, logistic from Lithuania to France or Spain is longer, and maybe it's better to buy, for example, Spanish importer prefer to buy products from Portugal, maybe from France. It is closer, and consuming of some products is less. It's less. It's, for example, chocolate now dropped. Chocolate and some sweets, some cakes, for example. We consuming of these products dropped 50%. Some drinks, for example, alcohol drinks, because we don't have social communication, and we don't have meetings with our friends. Of course, it's not reason to drink, for example, wine. And yeah, and now it's not good. And one HoReCa sector, hotels, restaurants, coffee sector is closed. Some sectors were very important for food producers as buyers, and if and food sector who works with HoReCa sector now has a lot of problems with money, with everything.
And you were speaking about fairs before. There is no substitution for that kind of fairs. Have you tried to digitalize them, or it's not possible?
It's there are a lot of proposals to participate in digital exhibitions, but it is not as we can compare this kind of exhibitions as meetings with our friends online and drinking wine online with my friends. It's the same. No, it's a decision for maybe for 2-3 months, and all consultants, all organizers of exhibitions, we try to do something, and it's a problem for them. And we, if I understand well, in the autumn we will have exhibitions with requirements as now we have with different shopping malls, and it is it's bad. And the main question, how many visitors will attend in exhibitions? People afraid to visit different places now in our countries, and we understand what it will be the same with fairs and exhibitions. And for example, for food company, one participation costs 10,000-15,000 euros, and to participate just for it's waste of money, really.
If you don't have public.
Yeah, we need to have visitors, and now we will see. And main tests will be in October in France. For example, now in our sector, we have the main beer exhibition in Paris. We will see what happens with it.
Okay.
What will happen with it?
I suppose that you don't have problems with the workforce, with the people to work on the fields. No problem at all, I imagine. In Lithuania.
It's no problem. Yeah, because in our Baltic countries, situation with COVID-19 is pretty good. We have just 1,050 cases total number, and now we can travel without requirements to Latvia, to Estonia, and now we expect that our tourism will be in these countries. But now we feel free. We work at offices, and it's in Baltic states pretty good situation.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Jiros. We will come back later to you for possible solutions, but I think it will be good if now we focus on disruptions in needs.
Okay.
Any other contribution from those specialists in the sectors that are here with us? Please, will you share? For example, we have here Noelia from CUSAGA, the Cluster Alimentario de Galicia. Will you share, Noelia, your situation? I don't see Noelia activating the sound. Okay. Any other contribution?
Hello, Antonio. Sorry. You first.
Yeah. Okay, I have just, I'm not expert, fully expert on this, but I have, and I don't have it structured, but I would have just few not comments, but things that I noticed in Slovakia. You mentioned shortage of employees, especially processing companies. I know they had challenged shortage of employees. Mainly, I noticed that at least in dairy processing, mainly because the schools were closed, so people went home. So it was not because of disease itself, so they would be sick, but mainly of other secondary impacts, I would say. So this was one of the problems, and I noticed that they actually get together with the sector of tourism association or something like this, and some people from restaurant hotels went to help to dairy sector in their processing factories. That was one example I have noticed. So it could be also as a solution, but it was a problem that I noticed. The other one was when we discussed with the wine producers. Wine producers, they have certain capacities to store their wines, and of course, since the restaurants were closed, they had problems with the consumption. There was much less consumption at home, of course, as in the restaurant. So they said if we don't spend, of course, some of the wine is bottled, but most of them is still in the barrels. And if you don't use the capacity for the next season, then you are getting in trouble. So that was one of the another problem that I have noticed in terms of storage or lack of capacity for such special occasions. One thing that I have also discussed was that I don't know for what kind of production, but there are part-time jobs at the farms in Slovakia are running quite well in general, so there is no problem with the running itself. However, there from time to time they are dependent on the part-time jobs, and the part-time jobs were coming from other countries like Ukraine, Serbia, etc. And because of border closed, they had problems to get this short-term or part-time jobs. So I have even noticed in a newspaper that there was a platform developed that the farms could apply if they need some short-term jobs, and it was distributed to schools and students, and students were at home, so they could help to those who needed it. And to be honest, I don't know what exactly, because it's not the picking season, so it was maybe for some small activities. So in addition, I have noticed that the purchase pattern of consumers has changed. So it means that because people eat more at home and not in restaurants were closed, of course. So the change of the pattern for the consumers, it's also, I think, to a certain extent, disruption of the value chain or changing in the value chain. And at the very beginning, especially when there was no clear how the situation will go, a lot of people made bulk purchases of food, you know, to get a big storage and to pick bigger volumes, which of course caused now a lot of waste. So in terms of agri-food ecosystem, we should also look at the waste. And I think that, but this was mainly at the beginning where the situation was not sure, and there were large lump sum or bulk purchased by families, you know, just to be safe for 2-3 weeks. So these were just flash examples that I have noticed in Slovakia, and actually hit the different levels of value chains from different perspectives.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Excellent contribution. More comments. Eloy, Deinovi. Oh, sorry,
yeah, maybe,
Aaron. Oh, Daniel.
Just one more comment. It's not directly in the agri-food ecosystem, but it's actually linked to agri-food. Because the restaurants were closed, we have also noticed increased use of plastic. So there is a lot of plastic waste because of one-time plastics came back. You know, you could buy, restaurants were open only to sell you through the window food, and everything was delivered in plastic bags. So there was a big increase in plastic waste in these 2 months, which is of course causing environmental problems. So this was one more comment in wider aspect or wider spectrum. Thank you.
Perfect. I have a comment on plastic. For those of you that doesn't know, we are speaking about potential disruption on the plastic value chain, PVCs, and we have created a group for analyzing that, and probably next Friday we will dedicate the session to a deep analysis on deep analysis on that. Okay, but you will be informed and invited also to participate. Anyway, if you have information about the plastic disruption, don't wait. Contact me directly on my email or by phone, because we are very interested in that area. Okay, Aaron, I see that you are there, and it's perfect, because I will really I want to invite you to speak out the disruption that you mentioned yesterday in our Spanish meeting.
Yes. I was starting to speak about that because several of I'm Aaron Cabrera from Functional Print in Spain. Several of our associated, they work in packaging sector, and they make tags, for example. They having no problem, for example, the people that make tags for wine, because wine is not selling, then they don't sell tags. But one of the main disruption that they are having is the price of inks. The flexography inks that is using for packaging are made in great part by solvents like alcohol or isopropanol. Then the use of this alcohol and isopropanol for make disinfection system like the hydrogel and another system for disinfection is increasing the demand of alcohol, and it's increasing the price of the material needed for make the flexography and other class of inks. Then probably is a good moment aligning with the Green Deal of the European Union to change to another kind of inks based in water, or maybe another kind of technique that could, I don't know, make a change in this problem that we are having. We are trying to know how this disruption could affect to the price of the tag. You need to know that the price of the tag in a product, for example, a box for biscuit, or a box for a tin of tuna fish or things like that, need to be really, really cheap. And an increase of the price of things of 10% or 20% is maybe it's not affordable for the most part of the people that is working in packaging, and it's a big problem. And maybe this disruption is going to affect to other sectors, like for example electronics, that is they use a lot of inks with solvents. Then is probably going to be a major disruption to all value chains, I think. Well,
I have heard about the problems with alcohol since weeks ago. Anybody else will verify that this is a problem here? Anybody else?
We are working with our associate to verify this, but this is a problem that is the people is speaking about that, and it could impact heavily in the price of inks.
I totally agree. Thank you, Aaron. I would like to hear if this problem is widespread through Europe, or there are countries that doesn't have any problem with alcohol and we could export or import, sorry. If not, we will ask about that.
If I could come in.
For sure.
Yeah, no, it is on the comment which was made because I thought was very interesting that when something is missing, like you detect that there's maybe less alcohol and the ink gets more expensive, that this is in the moment to find new solutions. And I think it was also in the chat that it's the moment to look for innovative solutions. And I would like to link this also that the farm to fork strategy was published by the European Commission. And because this is linked to the Green Deal as well as the biodiversity strategy. And it's just 2 days ago that this was published. And it is really with the aim, I have just the website open, the transition to a sustainable EU food system. And they set targets also how to transform the EU's food system. For example, reduction by 50% of use and risk of pesticides, reduction of 20% of use of fertilizers, and reduction of 50% in sale in microbiologists for farmed animals and aquaculture, and 25% of agricultural land under organic farming. So there's coming something up, and I think in the discussion you're having now, it would then also be interesting when you look at solution to have this in mind, that this has come just out, because this is also there to help to strengthen the European quality, because if we can prove that then the European food system has this added value, this is also an additional selling point, like made in Europe and with a special quality. So I think this might be interesting just to keep it at the back of the mind. Thanks.
Very, very interesting, Nula. I am sharing the screen the link that Nina has put in the chat, so you have the document. Reference it in the ECCP forum. Okay, so I invite you to read it if you want. Perfect. As Ula said, excellent opportunity. More contributions, more experiences.
Good morning, if I may. I'm
sure.
Kristina Sharmukshnitelė-Šiūnienė, coming from Digital Innovation Hub, Agri Food Lithuania. Good morning, everyone. And I just have a couple of remarks on the situation, what is going on in the agri-food sector right now. Because we work very closely with lots of innovations and digital tools, and been implementing different solutions for farmers and agri-food SMEs. So what we are facing right now, that it seems that everyone went on the surviving mode, and everyone started to concentrate how they can proceed further and how can they survive. So at first glance, it looked like nobody is caring about technology anymore. But since a couple of the months passed, we are becoming more and more digitalized. We are not having real meetings, but we are having online meetings, and it's It was also, first of all, quite a big challenge because for the farmers, they are not really used to have online meetings. It's very common for farmers only to have private consultations, face-to-face meetings. So for them, it's also was a changing point. Another thing for them, as globalization is challenged, so everyone needed to start concentrating on the localized production and on the localized food chain. So in our opinion, what we are seeing right now, it's more than ever using a big data and analytics with the help of artificial intelligence should be the first thing in helping farmers to be more efficient, or in agri-food sector overall, for all the companies to be efficient. And we're really seeing that the European Commission initiative coming from the European Digital Program about European Digital Innovation Hubs, it's very important. And it's I would like to underline that it should be probably mandatory for all the member states to decide and have such European Digital Innovation Hubs, not only to leave just for the member states just to decide if they want to have or not, because I think during this crisis showed that technology or the digitalization can really be very helpful in solving such problems. And it's very important to not only have our innovations implemented in local sectors, but cross-regional or cross-border cooperation is very, very important, and bringing the technologies from others and transferring and implementing to each countries. I think it's probably one of the most important things right now. So this is probably my main remark.
Thank you very much, Christina. More comments, more experiences.
Antonio, I would like to add a case that is going through the German press right now, which is not really a disruption based on now lifting confinement measures, but there has been a huge breakout of coronaviruses in slaughterhouses. And they're now looking into the very bad working conditions all the temporary staff and the least employees are suffering who are working in these slaughterhouses. So we have basically a point a little bit contrary to what Christina just said, meaning yes, technology on the one hand is like a very important investment, but on the other hand, there are for people working in the food sector who don't even have the minimal working securities, living in confined spaces because they cannot afford decent housing, cannot have the minimal distancing that they need have now to not get in touch with people. So it is really showing this general disruption in the system where not even the minimal working conditions are met. And this is going through the German press right now. So we have a case where we don't even reach this minimum level.
Thank you very much, Nina. More. We need to cover all our territories if we want to be really representative. So more experiences, please.
Good morning. I've always heard of people, mainly young people, students, that used to go abroad on vacation, not for fun, but to work on collecting fruits, etc. With the difficulty of cross-boarding people, what will happen with collecting food?
Somebody will ask. I would like to hear somebody from Italy. I see, I don't know him, sorry, but Francesco Ricci, will you share?
Yes, very briefly. In Italy, but I work for a research association on food digital innovation in agri-food, and some of the elements that emerged with this crisis is that, of course, there's a disruption in especially in the way in which farmers have access to workforce. And so, as Ada mentioned, some platforms emerged to try to fill this gap of workers. But at the same time, there's a sort of increase in all those technologies that allow to reduce the use of workforce. We've seen also an increase in all those technologies that allow to manage the farms to working from remote, and these are some of the elements we saw. Also related to experts. There's been some problems, especially at the beginning of the crisis, concerning certifications, corona-free certifications for food, and so this was another issue for producers to be taken into account and to study all the systems that allow to gather all the relevant data to assure that the food was safe to be exported. And another issue also that emerged is that several small farmers or other food companies turn to e-commerce to stay alive, to keep their supply chains open and to have their products reach the markets and not to be cut away from the market. These are the main elements that emerge in Italy, and if someone else might want to integrate this point of view, would be welcome.
Grazie mille, Francesco. Oh, just one question. The problem with the certification is solved by now, or is it still open?
Well, the problem with corona-free certification, that specific problem was solved quite rapidly, because of course we saw also the scientific evidences that said that there's not that much risk on food of the presence of the virus on food. Nonetheless, we have seen, for instance, in this created a boost in firms in trying to have systems that help certification for export, even though, as we said, the problem with coronavirus certification was solved. The need for better systems remained, and especially in also in local markets, for instance, food delivery. We've seen a lot of startups using, for instance, blockchain to assure that the food has been produced in a certain way, that has been packed in a certain way, that has been moved and delivered in a certain way. So these had an impact on several firms and also on consumers that want to be assured.
Thank you very much. Any other contribution?
Sorry, good morning. Diolinda Silva from Portugal Foods. So I would like to add that here in Portugal, the main problems, and talking about food industry, particularly, the main problems I should say right now is the problem from the industry that was working mainly for HoReCa sector. So everything was closed, hotels, restaurants, coffees, and now the recovery will be very slow because things are opening up now in Portugal, and it will be a very slow recovery for the industry that was mainly not working that much for example, retail. But really, I think that the main challenge right now is exports. So companies have closed borders. The logistics for a country like Portugal, of course, we are here in the most western part of Europe, and so logistics are much slow and much more expensive. So this is a very big challenge for companies. Also, a lot of business trade shows, meetings that were already scheduled are now cancelled or postponed, which is also a challenge for companies to reinvent themselves on how to do business in the short term. And so here we are also helping companies to reinvent and go virtual. And also this trend to buy national, I think that this is a trend in most of the European countries. So how this will impact in exports, because everybody's are being very protective with our own production, of course. This is a natural trend, and I think it's a challenge to see how this will impact in exports. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Obrigado, Diolinda. Any other contribution?
Antonio, good morning. Ramon Garcia from Logistics Cluster in Spain. Regarding the issue of HoReCa services in Spain, I think it's important to remark that in Spain we have the same point of delivery that the rest of the European community together. We have more than 320,000 point of deliveries of HoReCa services in Spain. All of them right now are closed, as you know. The point is the 70% of them are very, very small companies. That the majority of them, have right now the people not working, but they have to pay the rents of the locals. And probably more than 20% of them are not going to open or reopen later of the crisis because they can resist. And the problem is in all the chain, because we have, as well as Portuguese market, the majority of the producers are focused to this sector, because in Spain we have a lot of customs of consumption out of home, and also we have a lot of tourists. This year the expectation of tourists are probably zero or more or less, and companies like the beer producer, for example, yesterday I was talking with Mau San Miguel, that is one of the biggest companies in Spain that produce beer, says to me that the 85% of their production is focused to HoReCa sector, and right now they don't know how to do with all of this production. They have a problem with the distributor, that are small companies also, because they have to go to cover all the Spanish territory. They need to go now these kind of companies that are small companies also. And also he said to me that only we have compensate or with a 20% of increase of sales in the supermarkets, but it's very small figure compared with the amount of market that is food service. And for that we have a very big problem made in Spain, because all of the supply chain or value chain are composed mainly for very, very small companies, and there are a lot of employment in this supply chain that are distribution, logistics, producer, everybody that are working to sell to the food service point of delivery, the bars or restaurant, are on risk of disappear. There are a very high percentage of them that there are very, very small companies, and financially or for liquidity, they can go on. This is the point.
Thank you very much, Roman. Rovere Pierpaolo, I see that you have some comments. Would you share? Okay, I sense that the sound is not working for Rovere. Someone else? Yes. We should jump. It's 15 minutes left for us. We could jump to, if you don't want to share any other disruptions, we could jump to solutions. Okay. Yeah. It's clear the opportunity to redesign and improve. What can we do? What are your proposals?
Maybe I can start. Yeah, I have two proposals. Now I think we have a good possibility to promote European food for third countries as made in Europe, and to work together with export market, especially in Asia. And we need to have more activities abroad, and activities could be oriented to online retailers, as Amazon, as Tmall in China, and this sector is growing, and some of our producers started to work more and more with, for example, Amazon. Next proposal could be, I think, with good time for eco-friendly packaging, and eco-friendly packaging could be supported more, and now we need to change our habits of consuming, and to continue all changes oriented to eco sector, eco production. And it is now popular and fashionable everywhere, especially in Asia, and it could be these activities could be we can develop together with export promotion, made in Europe, and ecological eco products. So
Green Europe. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jedrus. Anyone else? I'm sure that you have proposals for improvement. Please share them.
Antonio, just a little information adding the previous one. In Italy, in the cosmetic value chain, we are seeing leveraging on innovation, digital innovation technologies, electronic labels, and touchless systems to avoid the contamination of products I mean, using more advanced technologies in packaging. And we know that the producers of packaging often sell both to cosmetics and agro-food chain. So maybe could be an innovation that will be transferred also to the agro-food value chain.
Very good. Thank you, Ilaria.
Thank you.
Yes, sorry. In functional print, we have associates that are working in, for example, capacitive interrupters and non-touch, I don't know, interrupters and all these kind of things or sensors. And probably it could be used for this kind of agri-food that don't, for avoid touching the products. Probably with the electronic, the printed electronic could be things like you are saying. I think could be a solution.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
I am Rovere Pierpaolo, as I was able to connect with the audio. The question I raised was related to the food safety issue for the COVID that was basically a commercial problem. Started at the border with Greece by some customers, and then this has arose as a problem. But fortunately, there was two opinions issued, one by the FDA in United States, and the second one from a German Institute of Food and Health Safety, that was sufficient to cool down this problem a little bit. But we did some focus with our companies in the clusters, and the thing that was evident for us and for the food safety authority, that regional food safety authority that has supported us on the initiative, is that the knowledge about the measures to act in the processing line was basically defined by the companies by their own, since the company has not been stopped at all during the period. So in the other side, in the HoReCa sector, we had the governmental, let me say, measures that were taken by the companies, but in the processing, all the measures were basically developed by the companies themselves. So this is an issue that has to be, according to us, addressed in the future in order to have a proper management of the processing lines. And the second argument, looking for the future, in our region that is basically a rural region, we have a lot of interest for the rural food chains. It means that consumers are looking for products that are coming not from the big industrial players, but are looking for products coming from the countryside. And this issue is raising a lot of interest for those territories that before were a little bit used only for vacations. So these are the two issues that I was interested to focus on. Thank you.
Which region are you speaking about? Where are you located?
We are located in Friuli Venezia Giulia. That is in the corner, touching Slovenia and Austria.
Oh, okay, thank you. I'm sure it's beautiful. So this is a kind of the other side of the balance, no, between the more exportation, more local products.
Exactly. It's an issue that is arising, focusing more on the local productions and less from the ones coming from abroad. The consumer has a little bit of scare about the food, even if they have to eat. So anyhow, they will eat, but they are a little bit scared.
I am surprised that nobody spoke about traceability for the guarantee. And
we are, as a cluster, we are looking to that, but in these days it's a little bit tricky to talk about this issue, also because all the value chains were basically reorganized over the last 2 months because of border crossing problems or big offers of raw materials that are coming from abroad at low cost because of the lockdown of the Horeca that has switched some of the productions. So the traceability is an issue that I think will be important in the future, but today is still a tricky thing to talk about with the company.
Because it's too complex to implement, you mean?
Exactly. In this situation is a little bit complex. It's a little bit complex. They still have some problems on the purchase of raw materials. For sure, what they have understood, that this was referred by many of them, is that the lean manufacturing system has to be taught deeply again, because the just-in-time system that was taken place also in the food chain has shown some limits over those days, because the stocks inside the company or the stocks inside the premises of the companies are becoming very important.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes, just in time is not something. Yes, it's clear that is that.
But looking to lower the price of labor and the price of stocks and the price of everything, the lean manufacturing was something that was well sounding in the ears of the managers, also in the medium big companies. So it's an issue that has been tackled a lot by the crisis.
It's too sensible for this kind of crisis. Yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
Thank you very much. Yedrus, you want to speak?
Yeah. We started to use more local products. It's good, of course, for each country, but we started to compete in European Union countries, between European Union countries. And I think now we need to promote in European level, maybe use food product from Europe. Don't buy American or Australian wine, use European wine. Use European products. I think it's a good possibility now to promote and support European producers from food sector.
Thank you. Pablo, you wanted to speak. Pablo Fernandez.
Yes, I wanted to say that online marketing platforms for local production could be an alternative to allow producers to reduce the squeeze that they are receiving from big distribution. The entry of Amazon and such platforms, should be balanced with more distributed and more generative systems. The fact that there is no Horeca outlet is precisely being used to reduce what the big platforms pay producers, and shorter circuits can allow producers to get a bigger share of the marketing price of the products. So I think that there's a potential there to avoid the disruption that causes actually that food production can be discontinued because it simply is not worth it. So I think that is a vital tool that should be explored.
Thank you very much, Pablo. What about eco products? What about the opportunity to implement new fertilizers, as Ula told us before, new systems for labelings? Do you see it feasible in the next months or not? No answers. Okay. Any other suggestion of solution?
Sorry, it's me again. I'm not expertise in the matter, but I was working in agri-food years ago, and there's two countries that are key in the world food production, that are Bangladesh and India. And it's supposed that these are going to be heavily touched by the COVID. And it's probably it's going to be a major disruption in the food production at the world level. In fact, the United Nations says that maybe the hunger after the COVID is going to kill more people in poor countries than the COVID by itself. Then maybe it's the opportunity for the Europe that have a very big capacity for produce food to increase his food production. Thinking that probably in the next months the whole world is going to need more food than it can be produced. But this is just a feeling for the things that I'm reading in the news. But I don't know if this is true or not, but I think that this could be a major problem for the whole world.
Somebody have knowledge about that and will share?
Well, if I can I can say something. I'm Rosa Castizo. I have been working in sustainable in sustainability for 15 years, mainly with Latin America. So now I can see that basically we really have to reinforce, as you said, the local systems, trying to minimize, or trying to be as sufficient as we can, no? Thinking that also land and agriculture, they have a great potential in terms of health of the earth and health of the land and our health itself, no? So I can see how many movements around regenerative agriculture or land degradation is coming up to try to reinforce the system and try also to attract more producers in those terms, no? Also for people, it's going to be a great challenge to change to this kind of systems, no? It's going to be little by little, obviously, but it's gonna be stronger, no? Right now. So in terms of solutions, as you said, Antonio, and is the part of the panel right now. Now in May and June, normally we have the two big events in Milan and also in Malaga about the smart agri-food and those kind of things. And obviously this year we are having all these events online, no? But in all these events, we have a lot of information about great solutions that have been proven last years and that are really, really great in Europe, no? Obviously, there are some things about labeling and smart labeling, as one of you mentioned, but technology can help, obviously, but at this time, we really think that thinking in nature-based solutions, based also in the Green Deal that the European Union is reinforcing, is completely basic for also the health of humans, no? So solutions, more information to people that really want to change to other kind of system that is going to be more traction in the market right now. Secondly, obviously mapping all the solutions that have been proven already. Also there are a lot of blockchain for traceability, as you mentioned, Antonio. There are a lot of work in reducing food waste. That is also a great challenge in Europe, especially on the ground. So mapping all the solutions that have been already ongoing. And thirdly, trying to think in more local chain distributions because it's gonna be the near future, no? Yeah. Thank you, Antonio. And everybody.
Thank you, Rosa. I'm very glad to see you here. Okay, great contribution. So it's more or less time to close. Okay, you see in the screen the post of the day in the ECCP Forum. You are invited to share there your ideas and references and continue with the dialogue there. I don't know if Deolinda is asking me to comment through the chat. Deolinda, do you want to say something?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So if not, we are closing for today. Okay. Thank you very much. You are invited to continue with this reflection discussion if you want. Okay, we plan to send to every cluster and also the members of the clusters and in general our network next week a form to request for this kind of disruption and possible solution. Please answer that because it's very important. Okay, thank you everyone. I hope to see you very soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Bye-bye.
Antonio?
Yes.
Good morning. How are you?
Just one moment. Hi.
Okay.
Hi. Just one moment. Okay. Because Helmut, are you there? Hi, Helmut. Helmut is there, but he's not hearing. I will close him. Helmut is a friend, so no problem if he is hearing, but I will let him if he joins us. Okay, Athanasios, about the possible project in the strand B. Okay.
Yes. In fact, this is a very, I just saw it after we talked yesterday because I missed the other meeting that you had, and it seems to me that it is a very good opportunity to, I don't know what you discussed with the other people, but this is not only to apply but also to have it and make small calls, calls for the participating companies. So this is a very good opportunity for clusters.
Yeah, this is the cascade funding that we are using, for example, in NOSUP. So it's perfect. You are totally right. I was going to launch something, but Elisabella, I think, Isabella, invite during the session to join her, and so I don't feel myself leading. Okay, but I am sure that she will be open to the possibility to receive you. The only point is that neither I don't have, my team doesn't have time now to write it. Okay, neither Isabella's. So Isabella proposed to use one company here located here. It's a global company, but she contacted some. Then here she's from France, okay, but the company is in Spain. Just to write the proposal. Okay.
No, I understand. Yes.
And but they want 7% of the project that they work at risk. You know, they will not be paid if the project is not approved, but they want 7% of the budget if the project is
They
approved.
want
So
7% of the budget.
sorry.
But how does this work? They want 7%, but they will be partners in the budget in the project.
No. The partners should pay them 7%.
Yeah, but this is not eligible from the. How is this eligible from the rules of the commission?
Eligible.
I mean,
It's not eligible. No, you need to pay
yes.
outside. So,
yeah, so this is.
For me, it would be wonderful if you are able to write it, probably better, because you know very well the topic, okay? Or anybody else, okay? But because up to today we don't have I have not agree on going with them, so we could.
Yes, what I can say is that of course this is not only writing; it's also getting into the action of the project. But to do this, because the time is short, we would need to have a very well defined consortium and ideas there. And what I had in mind was that topic that I sent to you about the protection of the. But maybe there are more activities. So do you like to make I mean, the short answer is yes, we can write it. I have, I will mobilize my associates to do that. This is, I don't know how big is the proposal. Is it like a normal, Horizon proposal, or is this a shorter thing? This.
The main problem with this proposal is that, again, the request from the Commission is to have something implemented very, very soon. So in the first month, they expect to have the proposals of the, they want to have SMEs working on the field in 3 months. So in the first month, you need to deliver the challenge, to assign the funding in the next month, and to have them working on the field in the third. That's the main challenge.
How about the following though? Because the partners here are going to be both companies, but also some R&D organizations and so on. I presume we go for this number 2 from lab to fab, or we go to the first support solutions close to market.
I am sharing yes here. Sorry. For your information, I have been contacted also for the first one, but I don't see myself in the first one. But if you are interested, there are all the other clusters.
Yes, it depends a lot, because when I see this solutions close to market TRL 7 means you already have developed, and then you want to go to get the CE marking and so on. So this, I would imagine it is, if we are talking about serious technologies, maybe it's not still there. If you talk only about,
this is innovation. This is implementation of something that is.
That is already existing. So I think what is interesting, at least also from the point of view of the clusters and so on, is this market innovation, number 2, from lab to fab.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I totally agree. And to go for the option where you are sorry. Because we are speaking of 56 millions, the projects are between 2 and 5, so there will be a big number of projects. And yeah, and I was looking for the here. Those are the areas, okay?
Yes.
So,
for example, if I know that we as a laboratory, we have technology for the area that says number D, wetting filtering properties of fabrics, sensors, for a smart disinfection strategy, and some other, actually, I just received yesterday confirmation from Microsoft they will give us 3 HoloLens 2 devices, which we plan to implement in an approach that we have here. So the idea is, are there, from the companies that are participating or the other organizations that if we can have a map of where in each of these technologies they are existing, so we make like a technology portfolio, and at the same time, by having that technology portfolio, we can identify some gaps, in which gaps we will make the calls for the innovation from the other companies. So for the first or for the fast response up to the 3 months, we will use things that are already have been developed. For example, we have something that we sent into a hackathon. I'm sure other people have. So this would qualify for the first deployment, and then we will make the call within 6 months to have the SMEs that will be developing new things, and we will do it somewhat in that way. There are digital. We have also we are a digital innovation hub. You have also digital innovation hubs. So this looks manageable and more let's say easy to, and better chances, so to speak, than the other one, which is you must have something at TRL 7 and then just go only for type approval.
So you mean you would prefer to be involved in this and not the other?
No, I don't say this. I mean that this one, the second one, I know how to coordinate and how to put it, how to make a good story out of it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That
Okay.
in the other one is it has to be really industrially driven. The other one, or by someone who has. At the same time, as you see here, there is various technologies. I mean, somehow one needs to provide a coherence. So all of these topics, if you go to the previous also slide, if you see, it says, the proposal should address one or more of the following areas. But somehow these areas one must make a coherent connection. It is not enough to have one company in one area and the other and then say, well, we are all doing this together. So if you see through here, there is a kind of diagnostics. I mean, I like to think of this as in horizontal terms. There is a diagnostics activity. The diagnostics is involving various scales, the person, the environment or the immediate environment, and then the environment at large. There are protection measures that are also at various scales, and then there is the glue, which is the IT that keeps everything together. So with a structure like this, one can fill in some of the gaps with immediately available partners that would be that would have TRL 6 technologies, and then make also the call for the participating for the innovative solutions that would be providing missing links for the already available approach. I think this would be a coherent way to approach it.
Okay. I agree.
The other one
from our side,
French, yes, the French cluster
is
has
photonic.
It's photonics. Okay.
It's photonics. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the strongest in photonics. It's a good cluster.
Okay. So the photonics is mainly looking at area A, as I see here, or maybe also in some of the
Perhaps
other.
there are some technologies for screening of lungs, for example. It depends. Screening.
Yes, that's what I mean. Is it probably for the lungs, for that? So I think it's important to have a matrix of available technologies. Who else in your cluster is mainly in IT? Yes.
Yes, but I have, as I told you, I
Yes.
am very lucky because I am very cross-sectoral. And so one of my members, it's in fact
The hospital, yes.
Yeah. So we have the projects because we have been working on projects for years. Okay. So we have a project that is they have a lot of data that they donated by the patients for some months or years, I don't remember now, just to analyze the lungs and the result of the scanners. Okay. So we have the data to focus this analysis, artificial intelligence analysis, on the data on detection of this kind of illness.
Yeah, so this could be like a big training data set that is available.
Yeah, you are right. You are right. We have the data and the capacity to analyze it, or we could give the analysis to you or to somebody else. Okay.
Let me ask the following, because there is some company that does also the analysis of the images in your to do the diagnostic from the lungs. You have.
We could, but we don't need to use one internal company. That's something that we could.
So what you say is, for example, we would need to have some other partner who would be exploiting this data set.
That will be one possibility, yes.
Okay, because I know a company that it works in this biomedical field, and they do a lot of artificial intelligence, automated machine learning for various applications. They were also in the news with the German hospital some time ago. I have to check if they are this with the lungs, or they would be doing it. But what I have been thinking now is also because I have my activity involves a lot of particle measurements, aerosols, and so on. Is it? I guess one would like to have also correlations of environmental fact. For example, if there is the pollution level in some area, and how granular are these data? These data that you have from this participating company, is like a huge data set, or they are also localized, so you know these are from that area or the other area, and so on?
I don't know. We need to ask that to the specialist. I didn't show the data. Okay.
Because of this would make, if you go to the previous page, I'm trying now to find ways to connect the areas between them. When it talks about environmental surveillance here, for example, this environmental surveillance, we have a mobile laboratory that we can measure a lot of nanoparticles and material in the air. So, and there could be also information in various areas. So if we have this lung, let's say, data set, and we have information about the pollution in the areas where this is coming from, then one starts to build a more, an additional dimension here. So
I suppose that data should be open data here in Zaragoza or in Spain.
And this is from across Europe, the data, or from Spain mainly?
No, in this case, it's from Spain. Okay.
Okay. So why don't we do then the following? Can we have so one of the partners, let's say, will be this hospital, okay, with all the data. the photonics cluster will have, they will participate. I mean, you will participate both as clusters, but you will have also some of the companies as members okay? Can we have that list?
The list of what?
The list of the companies. I mean, in this proposal, the photonics cluster will be as a cluster, and they will have also as individual partners some of the companies, I guess.
I don't know. We need to clarify that. First, we need to clarify that they are willing, because I didn't speak with them, okay? But first, we need to propose them to change to not use that company to write the, I don't know. I need to discuss them with them, okay? But I am sure that there will be no problem, because there are, okay, I don't suppose that there will be a problem, okay, in that. And we haven't.
Anyway, I don't want to cause a disruption here, but if they are going to have, let's say, if this is a proposal that has 5 million budget, 7% of the 5 million is 35,000. Huh?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, yes. So and this is distributed to every partner. So in order to not to be bound with procurement and procedures and so on, one needs to have something on the order of like 10,000 per partner. So they would need to have an enormous number of partners to be able to do it, without outside of the normal channels. Okay, I understand.
Now, what I will propose to you is I will speak with Alpha, okay? I prefer to work with you, okay? First, because I don't like the approach, okay? If we don't have anybody else, it's the only approach, but I prefer to collaborate with you, okay? Clearly, and we can. I am sure that we can build a strong consortia without any problem. So I will speak with Isabel, and I will let you know very quickly about her answers. Okay. Anyway,
let me here also my mobile phone, so that I give you here. I am also on WhatsApp and on Viber, so that if it is because I'm also now in
any answer from her. Okay, perfect. And I hope to contact today the official on the European Commission that was speaking about this. I don't remember the name. It's Spanish. So I will try to. I don't know if I will be able today or Monday, because today is theoretically holiday there. But as soon as I am able to speak with her, I will comment also to you. But
okay, and Anais will coordinate the other proposal.
I don't know who should coordinate. Not yet. I don't know yet. Because
this is crucial. But for the other proposal, I have done also some work. I think it is when we meet in the afternoon, when we discuss, I think we will have a more concrete way to advance.
Yes, we are reaching for information today. Okay, so I hope to have more information soon. Yes.
All right.
Celine doesn't understand very well what is a clusters.
Yes, I know. I mean, Celine is a little bit more academic than the thing, but I think it will be okay, because the whole idea in that thing is you don't want to come up with a traditional socioeconomic study, and if you look what I suggested yesterday about this is actually they are now trying to do this in the US. They have I did a lot of literature search and so on last night, and then I think it's very novel. I mean, they don't do it now. They just say what are the challenges. So this is quite okay, and I will give to you some material this afternoon so that you can also have a look.
Perfect.
Okay.
We will speak later.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.